This is a list of the coolest, rarest, and most expensive PlayStation 2's ever. So we've already gone over some very cool, expensive, and rare PS3 consoles and PS4 consoles, but now I think it's time to go over Sony's most successful console, the PlayStation 2. And unfortunately, there's not nearly as many console variations as PS3 and PS4. I think a lot of those special edition, limited edition bundles were really more popularized in the last 10 years or so with those more modern consoles, because they saw so many releases and there was a lot more turnover and bundles and things like that, right? So there's not nearly as many PS2 consoles, although there are still some cool ones with a few caveats. One caveat being that they're actually more widely available, so every console we're going to talk about is actually usually pretty easy to find on eBay or something, or third-party websites to go buy, so it's not totally impossible to find some of these and buy them if you're interested, but a lot of them are Japanese only. So because PS2 is a region-locked console, it will only play Japanese games unless you're doing a mod ship or something like that to get around that. But otherwise, these are still very cool consoles, very cool to collect or put in a glass shelf, and let's start off with some regular color variations of the PlayStation 2. Now, Sony had the fat and slim model widely available in black. Those were pretty much everywhere, not hard to come by whatsoever. There are a dime a dozen, but the PS2's slim version did have a few different variations. The satin silver console was released worldwide, so if you do want a silver PS2 Slim, these are available everywhere, not hard to come by whatsoever. There was a Cinnabar Red PS2 Slim though, that was available in Japan, very cool looking. What I like about the Cinnabar Red console is that, at least to me, it seems like it's a pretty consistent red between the other red PlayStation consoles that Sony's done over the years, so if you're really into red as a color, you can kind of collect all of them. There was a ceramic white console that came bundled with SingStar, and this was available everywhere, so not hard to find a white console if you're into that. But surprisingly, there was a pink slim PS2 that I think a lot of people do remember, but actually, out of all these colors, it seems to be the one that's the most expensive if you kind of look for it on eBay. The pink PlayStation 2 Slimline console going anywhere from $150 to $200, upwards of $300 or $400, I think, for a few listings I found where it came with a complete set of the box, which is cool. I think the box is certainly a great thing to display as well, but it's interesting to see that the pink console is actually fetching for quite a high price compared to the other ones. In fact, you wouldn't think that the pink one was more expensive than this next upcoming one, but there was a PS2 Slim special edition for Final Fantasy XII, and it was a black console but had some Final Fantasy XII imagery on the top half of the system. Very cool looking console, but you really wouldn't think that the pink console is actually worth more than this one, so you can actually get the Final Fantasy XII console for $100, $150 at the most. Not that expensive at all to get your hands on one of those systems. Now, stepping backwards a bit to the fat PlayStation 2, we can take a look at some limited edition versions of that console. We'll start off with the 50 millionth edition, celebrating 50 million consoles sold worldwide. It came in 3 colors: metallic silver, aqua blue, and sakura pink. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm more partial to the aqua blue. I think it has just a very nice finish to it. Kind of that slight matte, but very light color. Not quite baby blue, but I don't know, there's something about it that I really enjoy. And the sakura pink as well. Not really much of a pink guy myself, but the metallic finish of it, I think, is what really draws me to these consoles. And you can find them on eBay, not hard to find whatsoever. I think there's even a few listings of these consoles sealed in box, which is pretty interesting. I'm sure you're paying well over $1,000 for that at that point, but certainly very desirable if you are a collector. Now, in the previous videos discussing PS3s and PS4s, there was always one that was just inordinately expensive and ridiculous because it was plated in gold and diamond and this crazy opulence. And it's interesting that I couldn't really find something like that for the PlayStation 2. I think that's just sort of our modern age of materialism and capitalism and things like that for doing something ridiculous with that kind of technology. But back then, I guess it wasn't really much of a thing. I'm sure there's something like that that does exist. But we do still have a gold PS2. It is a special gold PS2 that was released for, I believe it was Mobile Suit Gundam in Japan. And it's gold plastic, mind you, but you can get a gold PlayStation 2. There's a few listings, you can get it, and I think it looks great, I mean, chances are you don't have $100,000 to $300,000 lying around, but you probably got a little over $150 that you could probably spare to pick one of these up. And you can't really complain. If you want a gold PS2, this is your option. Now, we've got 4 more colors for the fat PlayStation 2, and once again, these are only available in Japan, but like I've been echoing before, they're available. So if you want any of these consoles, go to eBay and find them. We've got Ocean Blue, Midnight Blue, Pearl White, and Zen Black. So the Pearl White is a solid white finish. Very, very sleek looking PS2. I really like this one a lot. If you are into white technology, this PS2 is just screaming. It looks great. But the other 3 colors are actually see-through, more or less. That very, how would you say, frosted see-through. So it's not entirely clear, but clear enough to where you can see the internals. The Ocean Blue, I think, is I'm really not sure. I love all three of them. I think the Ocean Blue might be my favorite. The Zen Black is a little too dark, but it's still dark enough to where it looks pretty sleek and pretty mysterious. But same with the Midnight Blue. I think Midnight Blue might be a good middle ground between both of them. I'll tell you though, between those four consoles, I think that's the best bang for your buck. Great looking consoles, you can't really go wrong. Now we're gonna get into a very unique situation, which is a Sony Bravia PS2 television. So I'm including this because this was made by Sony, and it is very much still a PlayStation 2, but it's a PlayStation 2 television. The PS2 on the bottom, it's connected to the screen, looks very cool, very different, and this is actually the most difficult to come by I've found. So this was released only in Europe. I've found very few listings. So if you want to look for this thing yourself, it's called the Sony Bravia PX300/22, a 22-inch HD TV with a PS2 built in. I think the weird thing about this is that it was released somewhat late into the PS3's life cycle, actually. So it was around 2009, 2010, I believe Sony released this TV, so I think that's why not many people bought it. There's not that many units out there. It just wasn't very desirable at the time of when PS3 price dropped and people were starting to really jump into next gen. So I think that's why it's in a really weird spot where it's not widely available and not many people bought it, and even though it's unique, it just wasn't really in demand at the time. But if you do happen to find one of these, I absolutely suggest you pick one up. Now, for our final console, it's 5 colors, it's the rarest, it's the coolest, it's the most expensive one here, a culmination of this video title, but it's the PlayStation 2 Automotive Edition. Now, these consoles were celebrating 20 million PlayStation 2 consoles sold worldwide, and only 2,000 were made for each particular color, and that's light yellow, metallic silver, snow white, super red, and astral blue. But essentially, this is the cream of the crop when it comes to collecting PlayStation 2 consoles. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is a set of consoles called the Automotive Edition when they're celebrating 20 million units sold worldwide? Well, actually, the father of PlayStation and PS2 architect Ken Kutaragi was a car enthusiast, a driving enthusiast, and so it was called Automotive Edition because these consoles were colored after his favorite cars out of his personal collection, which included a BMW and a Mercedes. So just a little factoid there. And the colors do look very nice. I mean, the Astral Blue, I think, is the best one by far because you have that glossy finish on the front. It looks fantastic, there's no doubt about it. But the same can also be said for the light yellow and the super red. Now, you can find some of these on eBay as well, but you are certainly going to pay upwards of $1,000, $2,000 for these consoles. I did find one listing in particular that was somewhere around $10,000 to $12,000, and it was for, I believe, just 4 colors. So you got almost a full set. I believe that listing was missing the super red console, but you know, for 10 grand, you can knock 4 out of 5 right there, which is not a bad deal whatsoever. If you're looking at today, somewhere around 10 grand, probably a little bit more if you want to get that 5th color. But those are all the coolest, rarest, and most expensive PlayStation 2s that I wanted to show all of you. And if you have not yet, subscribe for the best PlayStation news, reviews, and updates here on YouTube. That's it for me in this video, and I will see you all in my next one. You take it easy.